schools? Well, I'm a parent and a sex educator, so I operate in two different worlds. There's no question that parents should be talking to their kids about sex and sexuality from the time they're born on. But we do teach our kids about safety and protection. Sexuality is part of our overall health. And I think we have to remember that this isn't sex ed where we're just talking about sex. Yeah. We're talking about anatomy. We're talking about sexual development, healthy choices, responsibility, consent, respect. And these are all, topics that it's never too young to learn about. Those of us who work in public health know that teen pregnancy and teen sexuality in general is full of complexities. And what we're really seeing is a perfect storm of public health interventions paying off, our culture changing, better condom use, more access to contraceptives, better cultural conversations.
One of the things you've told me on previous discussions is that you got to be very clear when you're having conversations, for example, with your kids regarding expectations. How do you have that conversation, and how young is too young?
It's never too young to have any of these conversations. Our kids know what technology is. My own son, who's 8, asks me if he could post things to YouTube. And I say to him all the time, first of all, no. And here's why. I mean, our culture provides us endless opportunities to engage in these conversations with our kids. But I think that if you're going to give your child a smartphone or any kind of technological device, you really need to spell out, and maybe it's having some kind of contract with them. I will not use my phone to send pictures of myself or others engaged in compromising positions. I will get people's consent before I post a photo of them. I mean, really spell it out clearly. And then your kids know what your expectations are. And that means if someone asks them to do something, they're going to go back and say, uh-oh, you know what? This was one of the things that wasn't okay. Girls, little boys for that matter, like to play with their mom's makeup. It's about dress up and role play. This isn't about dress up. This is about showing girls this is makeup for you so that you can perfect yourself.
Oh, these crazy kids, you have...
And we still hear that a lot, but it's actually pretty far from the truth. We're sexual throughout our lives, and we're seeing more and more that our older generations are sexual too. In fact, the biggest sex behavior study was just released by Indiana University, and it looked at people between 15 and 94.
Wow.
Yes, so clearly sex is not just for the young.
Let's talk about sex ed in the school for a second, because you're into that, I know.
Yes, very much so.
How old should a child be before they should be exposed to sex ed in a school?
Well, I think it's important to remember that sexuality education isn't teaching your kids how to have sex. It's setting them up for a good understanding of their bodies, what's happening to them in their sexual development, and then how to evaluate healthy choices. This idea that we have some crazy people out there that think that if we talk to kids about sex, it means we're telling them what to do and how to do it and, to run out and do it right now. They're crazy. Absolutely
you're talking about like Sean Hannity on Fox, for example?
Yeah, I've been there. I just debated with him last week. Lovely experience.
And is he somebody who just twists the whole thing around to make it look as though it's some perversion that teachers are into?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, suggesting that sexuality educators teach things like bestiality and give out vibrators. That was one of the suggestions that was made. I can assure you that that's not a part of my educational program.
Maybe, Logan, that's a fantasy of his.
Joining us now is sexologist Dr. Logan Levkoff, the author of Third Base Ain't What It Used to Be. It's good to have you back with us again.
Thank you.
So you think there are two sides here?
I do think there are two sides. I don't want to be an alarmist. Grinding is certainly nothing new. Whether we like to admit it or not, we've all had this kind of dirty dancing at some point in our lives.
Right.
That being said, I think the positive message here is that women and young girls are taking ownership over their own bodies and saying, you know what, this is a violation of my personal space and I'm not okay with it. We are a culture of narcissists. I think we feel like everyone wants to see everything we're doing all the time and that we deserve the attention. But it's weird because we're also manufacturing our reality. We're only putting out the good stuff. We're not showing the images of us like falling apart in the morning when we've told our kids to get dressed for the 250th time. So it's fairly inauthentic on top of being fairly conceited.